Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome back to another Afcon video where today we're going to be talking about the Ghanaian national team and everything you need to know about them ahead of Afcon 2023. Because ladies and gentlemen, the competition is only a month away now.
I'm ready.
And heading into it, I have to say, Ghana might be one of the most exciting African nations out there. Over the last year, the kind of players that they brought into the squad, obviously their World Cup performance, and bringing in Chris Hughton as a manager, there are a lot of talking points for the Black Stars of Ghana that I can't wait to dive into in today's video. Obviously, ultimately, we're going to be talking about the team as a whole, what I think the best setup and lineup is for the competition, their current form in general, and what to expect from them. Obviously, if you want me to talk about a different African nation in a different video, obviously I'm not going to do it in this one. Let me know in the comment section down below which nation to do next. But as I said, there's just something so exciting about the Black Stars of Ghana, but there is one thing that worries me, and that is their current form. Obviously, the most recent games we've seen from Ghana have been World Cup qualifiers, and they've been absolutely shocking. They are currently 4th in a group that has Comoros Islands, Mali, Madagascar, themselves, Central African Republic, and Chad.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Looking at Ghana and the players they have in that squad, they should easily be at the top of that group. I mean, it's like the Manchester United of African football. You just see the stars there, but the stars just seem to be, well, switched off. I don't know what's happening there, and they need to pick up a level. As I said earlier, I thought they were really good in the 2022 World Cup, especially compared to the opposition that they faced against, and I think they really hold their own. They could be really proud of their performances.
Thanks! Love you!
Over the last year though, since Chris Hughton's taken over the job, once again, I'm not sure I've quite seen the spark I need to see from them yet. I think on the attacking front, once again, they've got some incredibly exciting players, but so far in World Cup qualifiers, they only have the 20th best attack in Africa, which is shocking considering the players they have. Defensively, I wouldn't say they're quite as leaky as Roy Hodgson, but they definitely are leaking it slightly too much.
You know, let's not take the piss here.
Especially considering the goals they've taken in. Once again, I just think this Ghanaian national team, if you set the team up right to play a certain way, I think they could achieve great things and they could bring home the trophy at the African Cup of Nations. Once again, let me know in the comment section down below what your general idea is for this Ghanaian national team. And jumping into what I believe the best starting 11 is, once again, I think a 4-3-3 formation is pretty much bog standard with lots of African nations, but it is the best way to get all the best players in to this Ghanaian national team. I'll ask you guys, it's the only position I really ask you guys for help, who the best goalkeeper is, just because there are 3 fantastic options. We've obviously got Jojo Wallacott as an option, currently playing in Scotland. We've got Richard Ofori playing in my home nation of South Africa for Orlando Pirates. And we also have the likes of Ati Ziggy, currently 4th place in the Switzerland League at the moment. And you guys seem to be strong favourites for Ati Ziggy.
Well, this is awkward.
And I tend to agree with you. I think ever since he stepped up into that position, obviously for the Ghanaian national team at the previous World Cup, he's been extremely reliable, and I think he's kind of proven himself, to be honest with you. I definitely think he's been our best goalkeeper over the last year, although I was very tempted for Richard Ofori. But one thing that does kind of worry me about Richard Ofori is I find that sometimes he can get a bit of a head rush. Sometimes he can lose things a bit, and it can cost you goals. I think ultimately at the end of the day, Ati Ziggy is the best option. Now heading into the back 4, starting with the fullbacks. Now this is where my heart is absolutely shattered. I am so sad that Tariq Lamptey will miss this tournament.
Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry.
He obviously has picked up an injury for Brighton, despite the fact that he's been brilliant for the club so far, and he won't be there. Once again, it makes me incredibly sad, but I do think Ghana have options out there. I think as a right back, instead of Tariq Lamptey, I would go for the likes of Aladou Seydou, who's been absolutely phenomenal in the French league so far this year. Looking at his numbers, he's had 85 recoveries so far this season, 17 interceptions, and 62% aerial battles won. I think looking at him defensively, he's a lot better than Lamptey, although maybe on the attacking front, he's going to kind of miss that kind of energetic spark up front. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think as a defensive option, he is absolutely brilliant. As a left back, I've gone for, well, once again, it's pretty much my favorite left back for Ghana, with the likes of Gideon Mensah, once again playing for Aue in the 2nd division of the French league, currently fighting for promotion. And as an all-around fullback, I think his numbers are absolutely fantastic. He's won 9 balls so far this season in the final third, showing that he really has the potential to kind of contribute both up and down on the field.
Shut up and take my money.
I think ultimately in terms of an all-around fullback, he is their best option out there. And I think that's a pretty good start for this Ghanaian national team. Now, heading into the centre backs, once again, another injury has occurred, as we have the likes of Mohamed Salisu for Monaco.
You're joking. Not another one?
Once again, I was super excited for that move from Southampton. I thought once again he could kind of prove himself in Europe, especially because Monaco are doing so well at the moment. But once again, another major injury, and it is a huge loss for the Ghanaian national team. In fact, let's put up an injury list on screen right here, because Ghana are missing some huge players. Once again, they really are the Manchester United of Africa. Obviously, we also have the likes of Thomas Partey as an injury, although they say he should be back for this tournament, which obviously would be major for them. But we'll jump into the midfield later.
Naughty, you teasing me.
But heading into the defense, what do we do without Mohamed Salisu? I've gone for the likes of Alexander Djeku and Amate. Obviously, two centre-backs currently playing in the Turkish league at the moment, although we'll see if any of them arrive to the training camp with brand new hairlines.
I like your cut, G.
But ultimately, looking at Alexander Djeku first, he is coming back from a broken leg injury. But Fenerbahce currently top of the Turkish league at the moment, despite the amount of competition we have there now. I think he's a very strong presence at the back. I feel like defensively, he's very, very solid and might just be the best defender for Ghana heading into this tournament. I was a huge fan of him when he was playing for Strasbourg in the French league, and I think he's a very, very solid player, and I think he's also a very good leader at the end of the day.
Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
And I feel like once again, when things kind of go haywire for this Ghanaian defense, I feel like he'll be the player to pull them together. Obviously, we've also got the likes of Amate playing for Besiktas in the Turkish league at the moment. And once again, a very phenomenal player on his day. And I really like the idea of him being a right centre-back with the likes of Seydou. Obviously, both of them can play centre-back and right-back. So they are very interchangeable and they can help each other out. I feel like Amate has always been a heavily underrated player in the squad, obviously winning 3 trophies with Leicester City while he was there. Defensively, very, very clinical, I find. I find his tackle success rate very good. I find his passing very good. And ultimately, looking at this Ghanaian defense, I think that is a very, very solid defense, despite the injuries that they have there.
Hey, that's pretty good.
And once again, I would just like for their numbers to improve going forward. And I feel like if you play this back 5 together with the goalkeeper, I feel like that's the most solid. Now, jumping into the midfield, which maybe that's where I'm the most excited about this Ghanaian national team. We've got the likes of Abdul Samad, I've gone for Mohamed Kudus, and Thomas Partey.
Perfect.
Now, once again, let's talk about Thomas Partey. As we know, he has picked up an injury for Ghana, or for Arsenal. He should come back by the end of the year, they say. So hopefully by the time the tournament rolls around. I know he's not a huge favourite for Arsenal at the moment, obviously, especially since they brought in Declan Rice. But when Thomas Partey is fit, he is an absolute world-class midfielder. There were talks last year about him being the best defensive midfielder in the league, along with Rodri and Casemiro. That shows you how good he is. He's one of those defensive midfielders who can be very, very solid, but can also ping a very important goal in from outside the box. Thomas Partey on his day, once again, world-class midfielder, and I don't really have to justify why he should be here. Looking at Abdul Samad though, once again, I was very tempted to try fit in Jeremy Schlupp in here. Or not Jeremy, what's his name? Jeffrey Schlupp.
My name is Jeff.
I think Schlupp is a very fantastic midfielder, but looking at Samad, I feel like he's a very exciting young player. Only 23 years old, he was part of that Lens team that did extremely well in the French league last year, and I feel like he's just got so much room to grow. I feel like defensively, very, very solid, much like Thomas Partey, but I would like him to get his attacking numbers up. But ultimately, that's why I've put Mohamed Kudus in this midfield here. I know he played as a winger for Ghana at the World Cup, but I feel like his attacking numbers, I feel like he'll just contribute so much in this midfield here. I think he's been fantastic for West Ham United, getting 6 goals in 17 games, despite very limited play time in my opinion. Once again, look at Mohamed Kudus, one of the most exciting young African talents out there.
I said it last time I was on it, he's the best football player in the world.
He was brilliant at the World Cup. I would say he was their best player there. And once again, I don't really have to justify why he should be in here. His creative numbers are absolutely phenomenal, and he will be the player to get the ball from the defensive areas all the way to attack. But of course, jumping into our front 3 for this Ghanaian national team, this is where we have a lot of options we could have gone for. As I said, I think Ghana only have the 20th best attacking numbers so far of all African nations.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
which, considering the names I'm going to mention to you now, is absolutely shocking. In that right wing position though, I think there are 2 or 3 options we could play there. I feel like it is an interchangeable position between the likes of Painstill and both Ayew brothers. I would say that Painstill probably is my favourite right wing heading into the Ghanaian national team, getting 3 goals and 4 assists in 16 games in the Belgian Pro League so far this season. He is one of those players who can win fouls and therefore penalties in big competitions like this, and once again, a very tricky player to kind of tackle around. I do think Painstill is a phenomenal player who just doesn't get enough credit in my opinion. Although I could see either Ayew brothers play here, which wouldn't be a bad thing. I think Jordan Ayew has one of the most fouls won in the Premier League this season.
How? I don't know.
Once again, I think any of those 3 right wings could work. As a left wing, I've gone for Anton Semenyo, who's been brilliant so far in the Premier League in my opinion. Once again, I think he is one of those players whose numbers don't give him justice on how good he is. I think he's been phenomenal for Bournemouth. I think creative-wise, he's been absolutely brilliant. His crosses into the box can be absolutely lethal, which is kind of why I'm playing him as a left wing, because he can play as a striker as well. Especially when you have the likes of Inaki Williams up front, who hasn't been great for Ghana. Now listen to me here, or hear me out.
Listen properly.
Only 1 goal in 13 games for Ghana in competitive games doesn't sound that great, but so far in the league, 7 goals and 3 assists in 15 La Liga games. He's really gone from a player who's a brilliant athlete but not always a great goal scorer to a great goal scorer. He's definitely picked up the pace, and once again, I think the great thing about this front 3 is the fact that they're all interchangeable. They can all play anywhere in the front 3, and they can kind of change as the game goes on. But looking at Inaki Williams once again, I do think his form for Atletico Bilbao or for Athletic Club, I do feel like it will kind of translate over to the Ghanaian national team because he is in such great form. Once again, he's incredibly fast, he is incredibly strong. We obviously know his incredible fitness record, and I think going forward, he is Ghana's best number 9. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for what I believe is the best possible starting 11 for Ghana heading into this tournament. As I said, I know there are a lot of names I could have put in here, from the likes of Schlupp, both Ayew brothers. It is sad that obviously Salisu and Lamptey are out. Hopefully Thomas Partey will be available. But this Ghanaian national team is absolutely phenomenal, and I think it all depends on what the likes of Chris Hughton can do with them. Obviously, as we know, Chris Hughton was absolutely phenomenal, I think, especially when Brighton got promoted to the Premier League. I feel like that was definitely his strong point in his managerial career, and I would kind of like to see that kind of play style be translated over to Ghana, where he really does well to use attacking fullbacks in the squad. Defensively, he can lock out. Obviously, he doesn't have a player like Lewis Dunk in the squad, but I do feel like Jaku could be a very, very good replacement kind of option. I think, once again, Chris Hughton, I would like to see a bit more for him, but ultimately, this kind of competition will show if he's the right man for the job. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for everything you need to know about Ghana ahead of Afcon 2023. If you do think I missed absolutely anything, or you think a different lineup is needed for this Ghanaian national team, let me know in the comment section down below and which nation to do next. But of course, this has been Finn, FYNN. Until next time, cheers. Like and subscribe, by the way.